Hello, welcome to Activating Magic. I'm your host, Darla Ledoux. I'm here in person with Deepak Saini. You might recognize him from a previous episode back in January 2025, where we talked about your wellness journey and dove deep into mindset and health coaching. And so we've got a little different topic here today. But first, anything you want to say for people to know who you are and what brought you here?
First off, I'd like to thank you for having me a second time, and we get to do it in person here in your studio, and I'm really appreciating you hosting me and my wife, who's off in the other room as well. So this is a special treat for me. So I appreciate that, and I definitely encourage everyone to not listen to all the episodes, of course, but definitely go back and listen to mine about a little bit of my backstory, and sure we'll have all my links. I won't bore everyone with the same story again, but yeah, we're looking forward to talking about today's topic.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give just short version of the backstory, which is you were an accountant, you didn't love your job, you gained weight, you were needing to pick up your daughter, and it was painful. And that sent you down this health road.
Yeah, I was always morbidly obese. As a teenager, always had health challenges and hurting my back. Not being able with my daughter really started me in the path of just trying to heal myself. And then when I did, kind of realize how unfulfilled I was being a CPA, and led me coaching others. And it's transpired over time for sure. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today too.
Yeah. So like so many people, when you learn transformation, first of all, you want everybody to know, right? Like you can change your life, anything is possible, all of that. And then I think a lot of people then don't know what to do with that. Like, how do I choose my focus? How do I decide what this business is about? I can help anyone with anything. Everybody needs me. I know I personally have had issues with narrowing to say oh no, not you. Yes, you. Like my heart hurts sometimes when I think about that. So we want to dive into that a little bit because we went to the caves this morning, which is a part of this in-person experience.
Definitely come check that out.
Yes. So the Yampa Spa and Vapor Caves are just down the street. We get to go before hours, and we went, and the topic of conversation that came up was around choosing, right? So you have been a health coach for how long now?
Since 2017.
2017. And you focus on working with entrepreneurs who are kind of like elite, trying to be top of their game, and they want their health to match the rest of their life, right?
Maybe I just take a step back for a second, and just something you said earlier. So, when I first started, decided I want to help other people. I want people to not have to suffer like I suffered. So I started working with people who were like me, weight loss, back pain. But then as I evolved myself, what I wanted for my own life, publicly stated goal to be a centenarian plus, and some of the, how I adapted my own lifestyle, and, even, health optimization, that changed the type of people that wanted to work with me. And then also, what I offered as well. And then, I'll get to your original question in a second, but I think I also want to make the point that, and many will, maybe other coaches out there, again, you want to help everyone. And it's like, again, in the health field, it's like almost everyone could benefit from like one of these 5 things or 10 things or whatever. And you're like, you want to pound it. But I come to realize, and it was very kind of a struggle for me. It's like, why don't people want this? It's like, well, everyone is on their own journey, and they have to be ready for it, and they have to be willing to do their own work, whether it be physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, what have you. So we can't always, you can only lead the horse there. You can't make them drink. And sometimes as early on, and certainly myself as well, is like, drink, damn it. Why don't you drink? Like, you need this. But everyone's on their own journey for sure. But yes. So again, it's evolved over time, and I find, I really like working with, and again, it's probably a reflection on myself as well. Very high-end entrepreneurs are running very successful companies. Tons of stress that comes with that. They're leading teams, all sorts. Sometimes it's a small team. Sometimes they have hundreds of employees through divisions and whatnot. And all that call for, they're working long hours, or maybe not eating properly. If they do make it to the gym or something, they're actually overtraining because they're that A-type in their entire life, and they're actually not taking recovery time. And that, hurts their health and their long-term health, physical and mental. Their relationships are suffering often. They're not home, or they're not present, their children or their wife and that sort of thing. So again, I try to help those people realize that if you actually take a step back and focus on your health, it actually translates into business success. You think more clearly, you think faster, you make better business decisions, you're a better employer, boss, team member, yourself, father, husband, everything. So that's. But again, people have to be aware that they have to have a conscious awareness that they're actually like, this is a point where they're suffering and they're actually ready to do something about it.
Yeah, I teach the commitment stage. So before people come on retreat with you or do your deep work, it's like there's a clear moment of commitment. Like, I want this outcome more than I want my comfort zone. And if someone doesn't have that, it is like dragging them.
Right.
And I know I talk about like being a baby coach and going to events, and everyone I met, it was like I was going to solve their problem. Like I want to show that this coaching thing works, and I'm just going to drag everyone, like whether you want it or not. Have you thought about this? What about this? And then there's the discernment to know, oh, this person really isn't committed, and that's tricky. And sometimes it's family or
family. Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen all sorts. I've had clients before who, very wealthy, did very well for themselves, at a stage of life where you're like, even with best health optimization and everything like that, they still probably only have 20 years left just because of the age they're at. And they're like, look, I made it this far. They're actually so wealthy that they didn't actually want to do anything. That's just too much out of their comfort zone to like change their diet or exercise a little bit more. And it's like, look, I have a good life and I made it this far. I was like, okay, well, that's not the right mindset to work with me, which is totally fine. But it was like, that was a bit of a kind of eye opener. Like, again, it was like, well, why wouldn't you want the last 20 years of your life? Yeah, use your resources to make your last 20 years or 30 years as comfortable as possible, because most people are aware, you've probably seen it with your parents or grandparents, that last, God forbid it's only the last few years, but many people it's decades where it's just a steep drop in their health for whatever reason.
So talk about this declaration that you're going to be a centenarian.
Centenarian, yes.
Did I say that right?
That might be a word too. Yeah, so, once I overcame my, coming from a very scarcity mindset around many things, money being one of them, but also like health and like what I saw, my own family, lost all my grandparents when I was very young. I don't have a lot of memories with them for a variety of things, heart disease, et cetera, et cetera. It wasn't until I overcame my own health journey, got into, the research and what's, the latest and cutting edge and technologies. Like, we can always get hit by a bus any day, but there's really no reason why, if we take care of ourselves, we can't extend. It's not always about like lifespan. It's actually about the health span, right? Extend that health span. So if you are going to get, God forbid, cancer or something like that, get it when you're like 80, 90 instead of 50 or 60.
Right.
That type of thing. And I said, look, people are already living to, 120, 110. With technology, I think that's going to push our average life expectancy into the 90s. So like, why can't I be above average and just make it over 100? And once I kind of had that idea, I was like, why not? Why not me? And other people have declarations that are like 150, 180. I was like, look, I can do 101 or 110 or something. Like, why not? And that just, changed, the mindset and how I approach things I do for myself we all make hundreds, if not thousands of decisions every day, what we're going to eat, drink, activities we're going to do. And, that doesn't mean you can't put life into living. Obviously we want that, we want to enjoy ourselves, but, we can still make different decisions that, adds to, I'll go back to my CPA for a second, add to the debits of our health as opposed to the credits of our health.
First of all, it makes me think, oh, then I like have just as much life to live as I've already lived. So that's kind of cool, like taking the pressure off of the hurry up and do everything, which happens to me sometimes. Like, I got to get this project done as fast as humanly possible.
I even joke too, 50 is always, I'm still a couple of years away, but 50 is a big milestone for most people, and big birthday party. And I was like, I'm not going to celebrate 50. Like, I'll do 51 or 52 because that's halfway. That's what I'm planning.
Right.
That'll be the halfway mark. So So
I like this.
I'm sure my family will pressure me like, let's do a big 50. I was like, no, let's do 51. Make sure I'm at least going past
over
that.
the hump.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we were in the caves, we were talking about, you have this health coaching business and people are coming to you for that, but then people on the side are like, can you help me with my business? And I have had this journey. I started as a career coach because that was kind of my path, was being a chemical engineer and realizing I didn't love it. Now what? And so, but then my clients all wanted to quit their jobs and start businesses. And so I thought, okay, I better hurry up and learn how to run a business so I can help them. And it evolved, and it's evolved several times. And so you have these people who are coming to you for business coaching, but then you've got all your story and your passion for wellness coaching. And I think, what struck me is so many people either have been there or are there going, I could do this or this, because the tools, the mindset tools, the transformational tools can really help anyone with anything. And that's almost like debilitating to think, oh, I could help anyone with anything. But to build a solid business, you got to focus.
Absolutely.
So can we just unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So just you kind of mentioned it, but I had a number of clients knowing my past history, 20 years in corporate finance, CPA, as I mentioned, operations, joint ventures, would say, hey, can I just pick your brain? I'm having a problem with an HR issue. I'm having an operations issue. And I was like, sure, the time's yours. And that kind of led down this path. And then I've had other people, I just meet them at a networking event and whatnot. And they're like, you just talk so intelligently. And I'll give them some like marketing, something that I've learned from my own business. And they're like, that sounds so good. I want to just hire you. And I'm like, oh, like kind of abruptly. So and there was a point where I had my business was literally 50-50. I had 50 like health optimization and 50% like business optimization clients. And that's great, but the focus. So I really did some work internally with and I like serving both, but who actually really in my heart, I really want to serve, and what's going to make the biggest difference for not only them, but also their community. Because I feel like when I work with my health coaching clients, or either actually, but particularly the health coaching clients, it's not just them. It's also like anything they implement in their family, their immediate family. And quite often there's a trickle out effect to like their companies. It could be as simple as, we're going to we're not doing donuts on Friday anymore. We're going to bring in fresh fruit. Or now we're going to implement a health plan in our office that we didn't have before, like whatever. So it trickles out, and it's bigger than just them. So I think I make a bigger impact there. But when I really, and this is just recently too, I was really like, am I focus divided? And I was kind of struggling. And my own business coaches are like, pick a lane, Deepak, already. Like, come on. And so I did that reflective work, and I was like, it's the health optimization clients. That's where I really want to lean into. So there's some things I have to, are in motion, and they'll go forward. And I have an event coming up. I think we'll maybe talk about that later. But I think, go forward, end of 25, going into 2026, I'll just be particularly focusing on that clientele where I think I can make the biggest impact.
Yeah. And do you have any type of feelings about leaving the other people out?
Well, I'll certainly, fulfill those obligations that I have, and some of those will still go on for another 6 months. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think I make a bigger impact, again, to those people's lives, focusing on the health optimization, and I think also it fulfills my mission, which is besides my own personal goals and our own family goals, but also to impact 1 million lives. And again, that's not necessarily 1 million clients, but again, it's impact, those clients and that ripple effect. And I don't know if that necessarily happens with business coaching clients or executive coaching clients. So I think, I won't know. We'll see how it goes, but my heart's leading me, at least at this moment. That's where I need to go. That's where I need to go.
Yeah. So this podcast is such a great example of this, because it's called Activating Magic, right? And I have a whole system for helping people identify their magic, which is how their divine guidance works for them, with them, through them. And then most recently, I reintroduced my retreat programs, which is connected. people use their magic when they're hosting retreats, but it also feels different, and I think it's like obvious how they all go together, but to take the time to define it and map it out and funnel it and all of that, it's a whole project, right? So now you've been in that. So what would you say to someone who is trying to decide where their focus is? Like they know they can help anyone with their tools.
That's a great question. I think there's a couple different ways to approach that. I think one is a very, sort of practical, what is the market telling you? What is your market research telling you? Who have you worked with before? Who do you, actually like working with, in what capacity? There's that aspect. And then I think there's that more, again, that intuition based, maybe there's even a spiritual element to that as well. I can't remember if we talked about it in the first episode I was on, but I do work with people at the unconscious mind level using a modality of tools, and whether they're business coaching clients or health optimization clients, we really work with the unconscious mind to clear the negative emotions and any limiting beliefs, so that anything tactically we do later works a lot better. So I think there's something to be said for really listening to your intuition. What is that leading you to do? Who's the audience you speak to? And again, this is the work I've just been doing myself, but who do you want to work with? You probably have a lot of talents, many of us do, but what's the one you want to really lean into, or maybe just a couple? And you can always expand your business later, but I like to tell my business coaches, especially if they're newer, it's like, until you get to a certain level, like, don't be doing 5 things,
right?
Like, focus on one. And trust me, I made that mistake earlier on, trying to be, I do have my own podcast, as you know, but the podcast, the author, the retreat leader, the whatever, like, you have 10 different things and you're not doing any of them
super well.
You're probably doing them good, or great, but not excellent.
Yes.
So I really invite everyone to really, whether you need to work, you have your own business coach or a spiritual leader or healer, or whatever is your jam, or just reflection yourself, and just really, so where am I really drawn, and who am I really drawn?
Nice. And we talked a little bit about this in the prior episode, but can you talk about your modalities? So when you think of, helping people clear those unconscious blocks so that they can show up fully, whether it's to their health or their business, like, what's your approach? Yeah,
so I'm a master practitioner in timeline therapy, and a lot of people don't know what that is. I can explain that. NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, and hypnosis. So I typically start with timeline therapy. We'll layer in some NLP afterwards, and if people need it for a variety of reasons, it can be great, from sleeping better, stop smoking, to really instilling something. We'll do hypnosis at the end. And again, I just find that people, and again, it's not like you're never going to have those emotions. You're never not going to be angry again, or sad, or whatever it may be, but it's how you show up, go forward, when you're not weighed down by something, whether known or unknown, quite often unknown from your past. Typically when we're under the age of 6, or even at birth, or even intergenerationally as well, trauma that we're holding on to. So again, that's very not often known. I'll just use myself as an example. I don't remember if I shared this in the first episode. I'll be very brief, but there was an event that happened when I was approximately 18 months old. And I knew about it consciously because my parents told me about it and family members told me about it, what happened. Okay, so I knew this happened to me. I didn't really remember. But it wasn't until I did the work myself during my first level of training that I realized, all my emotions, anger, all the emotion, all limiting beliefs, all came to that one event. It all started there. Oh, isn't that interesting? And then again, doing the work and continuously doing the work. I mean, with my colleagues, we swap with each other to always be working on ourselves. Definitely, again, not that I don't get angry, but how long it takes me to really blow my top or whatever, or how I react, or how quickly I'll apologize for it. Like, that's all different compared to 3-4 years ago.
Was there something that sparked that memory coming back up? Because, like you said, you knew it was there. It'd been a story in the family. So then, did something happen that made you go to the timeline?
It was doing the work, right? So it was actually like going through I didn't know what was going to come up.
You were in a timeline therapy session.
I was having a colleague do it to me, and then I was like, and it was that incident. And then anger is the first emotion we work with. then the next emotion, the next emotion, the next emotion, through all top 7 negative emotions, and then a couple limiting beliefs. And it's like they all at the same thing. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, that's interesting. Again, I knew this happened, but I don't remember. But consciously, I didn't remember.
Right.
But the body keeps the score.
Exactly.
We've all that before, right? The famous book, right? My body knew that was the time.
Yes. It's interesting. I've had one of those come up recently where it's a story that I knew and I just made it like it was no big deal.
Right.
And for whatever reason this year, it was like, oh, wait, that was a really big deal. Like that has actually shaped a lot of who I am. And it never got addressed because the way I filed it away it was no big deal.
Right.
And when I start pulling it out and working with it, I'm like, wow, that has colored everything.
Yeah. And the unconscious mind's number one goal is to keep us safe.
Right.
Even if that goes against the goals or the things we actually want to achieve, the conscious goals that we want to achieve. If our body doesn't believe that's safe for us, it won't allow it.
Exactly.
And that could be in your business or health or otherwise. Like, why, I know you have kind of a sort of coaching audience, why is it hard to pick up the phone and ask for people to pay you? Why is it hard to do business? Do you give discounts when nobody asks for discounts because there's some feeling of not good enough because something your mother or father said when you were 4 or whatever. These types of things come up all the time.
I think about a client I had early on who she sent me her recorded sales call she had with a client, and it got to the point where she was making the offer and the woman said something that didn't make any sense. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
Where someone's like really a good fit and then they say something super weird, like to get off the phone?
Yes.
So it was kind of like that. And my client didn't say anything at all and was like, okay. And that was the end. And I was like, wait. What were you actually thinking in that moment? And she said, I was thinking, well, that's really weird. That doesn't make sense with what we just talked about. And I said, well, why didn't you say that? And it moved into this place where when she said things to her mom, when she was little, her mom would run away and lock herself in the bedroom for 2 days. And then she'd have to take care of her sister. And so that embodied response of, if I say this, you're going to run away and it's going to cause a big problem.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what I see all the time.
Yeah.
With people. It's an interesting point because there's a very tactical point of a sales call, right? Like, how to move on, handle objections and everything like that. But then there's also that part of it too, where I'm going to assume the person on the phone, the potential buyer, had their own things that came up and something maybe she said in the sales call triggered her to retreat. And then exactly how you just described, and what she recognized as well, that the potential buyer's response triggered something in her, and then she retreated and hang up the phone, right? So do both sides of that.
Yeah, and what's great about that is that's information that then someone could take to a timeline therapy session.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To me, we got to be in action and get a result and be willing to go get triggered. So then we know what our triggers are so we can work on them.
Yeah.
And so many people don't even pick up the phone because their body knows they're going to get triggered, right? But it's let's find out the nature of your specific trigger.
I know I don't want to talk to that person, not at least in this state. I'm going to share a really quick story. This just happened to be a business coaching client, and she had her first presentation, to give, and she was, so working on the very tactical, here's, the 3 points and the intro and, all these kind of things. And she was feeling really nervous. And again, someone who worked corporately and had done some, presentations, but this is a whole, now they're their own entrepreneur and
totally different.
So we're like, you know what, cause this is something I offer. I was like, before you actually do it, we have to do this work. We have to do this. So you work on the presentation, here's the suggestions, blah, 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 slide deck, everything, but we need to do this. And afterwards, how did it go? She's like, you know what? I didn't feel like throwing up. And that was the biggest thing for her. Cause standing in front of people in a subject matter that she's still relatively new to, again, relatively new entrepreneur, not feeling that confidence, she was having physical reaction, but then doing the work, she's like, it went well. She didn't actually get any sales from that sense. It didn't.
She's like, I did not throw up.
But I did not throw up, and she was over the moon with that. So great. Now we can work on better funnel,
Refining
better messaging, you know, actually making the sale. But like that was huge for her.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, you talked about intuition, and you know, I'm thinking about health clients who have this, you know, the profile you described. They're busy running a business. Maybe their health is going by the wayside. I remember in my early days, I was working all the time when I started my business and totally ignoring my health, like completely. And I knew I was kind of making that choice because I just felt like I didn't have enough time. And then there was a point I was really starting to develop my intuition, and I thought, I wonder if this would be stronger if I put better things in my body. What's your thought about this?
Absolutely. You know, you have to put the right fuel in your car, or you know, heat your home, or whatever the you know analogy you want to use. You know, our bodies are amazing, and they can heal properly, and they can get by with junk food and you know processed food, less sleep, but only for so long. So really, you know, that old you know garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, it is affecting our processing speed, our mental capacity. You know, aches and pains, inflammation showing up everywhere. You know, like I said earlier, when people start eating right, bringing you know, systemic inflammation down for many, you know, could be environmental, could be the foods they're eating, what they're drinking, water, air, the whole deal. They start feeling better. They have more energy. Oh, I have so much energy. I'm not crashing at 2. I don't need that fourth cup of coffee at or whatever
That's me.
the energy drink or what have you. And then they also, you know, they're more pleasant. Again, you know, I don't want to say their personality changed, but how they react to situations. Are they, you know, yelling at their employees because something didn't happen, or are they like more take a second to be more critical, or you know, and part of that's also taking responsibility for yourself. You know, like I see this all, and I've gotten so much better at this. I used to be terrible at this. You know, like blame other people. It's like, where did what choice could I have done? So you know, I see this with these entrepreneurs all the time. And again, it translates into their family as well. And even just being, you know, even if you're still working the long hours, you're, you know, maybe you still miss dinner, but you come home at 8 o'clock or not, whatever the thing is, are you at least present for that last hour? Maybe there's circumstance like that's just what it is, or you're traveling. But when you're home, are you actually present with your partner and your kids? Or they're just mom or dad's just gone and they're just whatever. And they're just, they're making the money and they're, you know, paying for private school and ballet lessons or whatever the thing is, but they're not actually there. And that's what the kids actually want. That's what the partner actually wants. And you can actually, many of my clients, they just make decisions faster. They're more efficient with their time. They're like, I don't need to work 12 hours anymore. I can get more done in 10. And that extra 2 hours, I can actually take care of myself or be with my family.
Talk more about that, because I used to do a 5-day challenge called Work Lighter, which was really all about that. Like if you're connected, you can decide faster. You don't need to do as many marketing activities because the ones you choose are divinely guided rather than throw spaghetti at the wall.
Right.
Like, do you have an example of where a client has like really gotten more focused, and whether it's taking vacation or just?
Yeah, like there's so many, you know, and there's so many different avenues. I'll give a couple of really, really quick ones here. One client, you know, again, that those unconscious patterning showing up. You know, he, you know, had a team, but he was a primary person responsible for getting new business, and that leads to obviously revenue, but like being able to actually pay your staff, right? Like, if you don't bring in the business, and that's then you can't even. These people's livelihoods are depending on you. But he, because of his own unconscious patterning, it was like that hesitant, like, oh, I know I need to call them back and whatever. And then we, you know, again, some of his own things, we got over that. He's like, okay, it's no problem making calls now. I need to collect, or I'm making the sales calls. Just became more, just so, you know, so fast. So that saved time and also brought him more business. Like he doubled his revenue in like the next year. We didn't work together that whole time, but like over the course of the year, he's like, I'm double. And it's like, I have no problem making calls
because he wasn't spending time avoiding.
He was avoiding making those calls. Like he would have made them eventually, but if you know, if it takes you weeks
Right.
to make that call.
And how much energy are you spending?
Exactly, the mental capacity
beating yourself up
of like,
for not
I know
doing
I'm supposed
it.
to call, and hey, I've been there too.
Oh, even
right?
when you just did that, I felt that in my body, how heavy that is.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know I'm supposed to.
And then one more recently with not really a true coach client relationship, more of a colleague, but we wanted a bit of an experiment. And he's an entrepreneur, runs a big organization, and he's already pretty dialed in with a lot of stuff. He's always willing to. He's like, I want to try this experiment. So we did a number of things, some gratitude, some breath work, some physical things as well. And he like diligently tracked it. And not everyone has to do this kind of level of tracking and of health optimization. But in a week, 100% improvement to his like strength. How many push-ups he could do? He doubled the amount of push-ups he can do in 1 week.
Wait, how?
We were very focused on how he exercised. So not just, obviously we made him do push-ups because that's the exercise we were going to test before and after, but it was how we did it, how often, and then in conjunction with dietary changes or when he ate in relation to when he worked out.
Oh, interesting.
And then breath work, and then gratitude, and making sure we got enough natural light. Like all these things play together in a role. So that's one thing, but actually the thing that was most impressive, so there's tests you can do. We can test your reaction time. You might think, okay, well, where does reaction time come? Catching a ball, sports, driving maybe type of thing. But you have to, it's not just, and the test is like how fast you can click a button.
Okay.
But we had in 1 week, 43% reduction in his reaction. You think, okay, well, how does that really matter to me? I don't play sports. I'm not a professional athlete. You got to think a little bit broader, like how quickly you can make a decision. Like, are we buying the red pens or the blue pens?
Right.
Are we going to give them a 5% discount or a 10% discount? Because, it's like, well, I don't know. Let's talk about, should we have a committee? Should we have a meeting next week about this? And it's like, no, it's like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Like your brain actually thinks faster. You think 43%. Again, we're talking milliseconds, maybe seconds, depending, but it's like, that's a huge increase, or in this case, decrease in how long it takes you to process. And this translates into your entire life.
Well, there's so much input that we have.
So much information that's coming that we have to, millions of pieces of information. What is it now? 27 million pieces of information, like per day or whatever. And these are big chunks, not the little things either. So it seems like, why would you care about that? Why would anyone care about Deepak? But it's like that you layer these few things, and it's like, and all of a sudden you're like completely different person.
Wow. You talked about when you eat in relation to when you work out, sunlight, some of the things, like I think we're traditionally taught, eat less, exercise more, end of story. Maybe take some supplements or whatever. But talk about that. Like that seems like an easy change someone could make.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the person. I'm very big about, quantifying things. So when someone works with me, we do like a lot of testing, your microbiome, your DNA, what are you're biologically predisposed to or react better to. I personally like to work out fasted. So I intermittent fast, and I try and get my workout in before. And with this particular gentleman we just talked about, it was workout, go for a walk, barefoot in the grass, ground yourself in the sunlight, and where he lives, summertime, and then have your meal, and then test his reaction. So he was testing reaction and a few other metrics, every day, twice a day, and the beginning of the day, end of day. And then that's, we saw those over the 7 days, those things. So again, depending on what someone's goals are, you kind of said, eat less, move more. I think that's been the kind of traditional like weight loss.
Yeah.
But not everyone needs to lose weight. Many people do, but not necessarily like you need to cut the calories.
Right, you might not be healthy and be thin.
Exactly. And there's many people, we could go down so many avenues off of this one here, but there's a lot of people I know, friends of mine, they're like run ultra marathons or everything, like from the outside, they look like specimens, but their gut is wrecked, they got digestive issues, they're injured all the time. I don't know if you're actually doing anything for your long-term health. Again, it depends what your goal is. Is it to lose 20 pounds for your girlfriend's wedding in a couple months? That's fantastic. That's not who I work with. The people, I kind of joke sometimes, but it's not really a joke. I kind of want my clients to become friends over the time so that we can hang out 60 years from now when we're all 100. Like I'm trying to make my clients my people I hang out with 60 years from now.
I love that. Well, that's such a vision of the world you're creating. That's one of the ways that I teach about marketing is like, what is the future that you're creating, that you're inviting people into?
Right.
So I love that. How many people are on board? Like what % of your clients are like, yes, I want to be 100?
Not everyone wants that goal. And I think we still have this, even, again, most of my clients have that awareness of, there's more out there than the traditional medical system. Many of them have been to 2 or 3 doctors and like, I'm still haven't figured this out.
Yeah.
Or they're working with specialists and that sort of thing. And again, and that's great. And to some degree, it's still in silos. And I'm not a medical doctor, full disclosure, but that's kind of a benefit because I can be on the outside looking in, grab all the scientific literature, what's out there, and we can run a series of experiments. And again, we'll test and we'll get data. Here's hard data. This is what your microbiome's telling us. This is your blood work's telling us. Your DNA. Let's choose to do this. Let's try this, and we can change our mind. So because of that connotation of what maybe, again, the experience with their parents or grandparents, not everyone wants to be, but I'd say probably half. Okay. They're aware enough. They're like, why not? Like, people are doing this. I hear these things. I don't know if it'll work for me. And stem cells now and this and that. Why not? I'm like, we'll get to these things in due course. So I'd say probably half like actually want to live over 100 as well. Okay.
Be a centenarian. My word I've invented.
Maybe that'll be the title of the show.
So one of the things I was curious about this, like, for example, you work out fasting. How did you come to that choice? And is that a good choice for everyone? Or is it custom? And then you're talking about then working out in the morning versus evening. Like, is there a blanket recommendation, or does it depend on your test results?
Great questions. I think it's very person dependent, number one, and it kind of depends what your goals are, what we're starting with as far as your current lifestyle, and then what the tests say. We definitely, again, it depends on our goals. Are we trying to like train for some event, like a Spartan race or a marathon, or whatever the case may be? Are we actually a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, or just like we just want to feel good in our bodies and look good in front of the mirror naked, or whatever the case may be? So there's always that component. We definitely we don't want to really be working out too close to bedtime because it is kind of like stimulates us up. And then we typically we're going to eat after, most people, a workout at some point, and we want 2, if not 3 hours from our last meal to sleeping. So you kind of work that backwards. It's like you really shouldn't work out any later than 5 or 6 for most people. And again, testosterone, is an important hormone for everyone, more so for men than women, but it's also very important for women. So, men, we have testosterone spikes in the morning and kind of later in the afternoon. So late afternoon, it would be different, but let's say roughly 2 or 3 or so, maybe 4. Before dinner is a great time to work out as well. I used to work out later in the day because, again, I was either in school or I was working, that sort of thing. A number of years ago now, how long? Maybe 8, 9 years, I got into intermittent fasting. I probably still...
before it was trendy.
Before it was trendy. It was starting to get popular, but it wasn't really trendy. There was already tons of scientific literature about that. And I thought, let's try it. And I probably still eat the same amount of calories in 2 meals so I basically have breakfast at somewhere between, depends on the day, 11 to 2. And then I'll have dinner, 6, 7 o'clock. So 2 meals a day for the most part. And it's not, I probably eat the same amount of calories, but, again, there's different reasons why someone might want to intermittent fast, right? It could be for weight loss, could be a way to reduce calories. It also just gives your, depending on how long you do it, it gives your stomach, especially if you have digestive issues or gut issues, a chance to heal. Because if we're constantly eating every 2 or 3 hours, your body has to digest, your stomach has to digest. When does it get a chance to get a break and actually heal itself? So that's a great way if you're in a 12, 14, 16-hour fast to give your body a break to actually try and heal itself. And you might be doing some supplements at the same time or something like that. So that's how I kind of got into it. And I do like to, again, be fast. I started that actually because I didn't want to, when I was running a number of years ago, I didn't want to have to be reliant on, carrying food with me. I didn't want to be one of those people at the fanny pack with like 27 snacks and everything like that. Or having to rely on the goos and all these very sugary things when you're doing, especially longer distance races. I actually started training myself that I wouldn't even have to carry water, because again, it sort of weighs you down or slows you down.
Mm.
And I was trying to go for time performance. So I only have to, basically I would train so I go 20 to 30 minutes without even needing water. And then I would just get water at the aid stations, however they were paced. So I didn't have to carry water with me. So that's kind of how it started, fasting and and again, I didn't want something in my stomach and give me digestive issues while I was running.
Right.
So that's kind of how it started, working out fasted. And I just like this more. So at some point I just get hungry. So I have to tell you offline earlier. I was like, I have to just eat now because, or I have to do workout now because I'm getting hungry and I want to eat, but I won't eat before I work out.
Right.
So, and I work out every day. So
nice.
So everyone's different. It depends on your situation, and that's certainly something. Not only where your numbers, where you're actually at, what your goals are, but what's your current lifestyle? What do you want it to become, and what's going to work for you and your family? Right? It's great. I have all these goals. Like if that doesn't work with your wife and kids, or whatever the case may be. That's not going to work long term. So we have to make it work within your family.
My takeaway is the backtracking to the time. So my gym has a 5 o'clock, a 6 o'clock, a 7 o'clock. And my goal is to hit the 5 o'clock, but sometimes it's like, oh, I'm just going to do one more thing and then I'm go. And then it's later. So
I would challenge, I think getting it in is great, but I would challenge you if you make it, maybe it's the 7 o'clock when you can get to, and then you're eating, like, how did I sleep that night? Like the next day, like, did I sleep? Is my digestion not right? Feel a little bit off, and just see like, oh, you know what? You might come to realization without anything fancy, really. It's like intuitively, I'm like, I don't feel as great the next day when I work out at 7 and then eat dinner at 8:30,
right,
and then go to bed at whatever time. I actually do better when I do the 5 o'clock class, eat at 6:30, and then go to bed and then just because your body's had more time
to track that.
Yeah, so when I work with clients, and we don't do this like for the whole year when I work with someone, but it's certainly at the upfront, I ask them to just track their food. Just very simple. I mean, however they want, they can use an app and send me the data, take pic, whatever. Just simple spreadsheet is fine for me. But I also, besides like, what are you actually eating and drinking, how much water, whatever the case. I was like, how do you feel? Like, and again, even emotionally, like, do you always eat alone?
Yeah.
And then you feel kind of whatever, or do you like eat maybe breakfast and lunch is alone because for what circumstance, but dinner is always with the family. And then like I felt great, and we talked. And so tracking that, I also asked them to write that down. How do you feel when you're eating? And then also like, how's your digestion? Because a lot of times, I'll just, not to talk gross, but if you're getting like a loose stool every Tuesday I have loose stool. It's like, well, what are you eating every Monday night?
Right.
Or Monday during the day, or even Sunday night. It's like, oh, every Sunday we eat this. Every Tuesday morning I feel this. Not saying that's the cause, but maybe there's a correlation we need to look into.
Or maybe the timing is different once a week because you have something.
Yeah. So once you kind of have this data, whether it's really hard numbers, quantitatively, or more qualitatively or subjectively, we can play around. We can investigate a little bit. And that's always kind of the fun part, is trying to run these little experiments. Let's try this. Let's try that. And like, oh, that went away.
So I know everything's custom, but if you had like a top tip for someone that wasn't changing diet or working out, one tip that like everyone should do to be healthier.
Well, I think number one, sleep, like optimizing your sleep. But let's even put that off to the side for a second, because I think most people understand they probably should be sleeping better, whether they do it or not.
Right.
I would say.
And does that mean optimize your sleep by sleeping longer? Or
there's many things. There's sleep hygiene, like what does your room look like, lighting, temperature, that sort of thing. Obviously, comfort of your bed, all these types of things. Timing, meal, we said earlier. Turning off screens, at least an hour before, even more so. And timing of your meals, and also like, are you getting like sunlight during the day, right? Like first morning sun sets your whole circadian rhythm for the day, and like determines your like sleep that night. So, first thing, sun early, even just get some in your eyes, at least get some on your face. And, depending where you live, like I live up in Canada, like most of the year it's cold in the morning, right? You got to bundle up. You're not getting any, but get some sun in your face, get some in your eyes later on in the day, as best you can. Obviously there's lamps and stuff that people can get. So even if we put sleep aside for a second, so put nutrition aside, exercise aside, even sleep aside, probably the number one thing is actually just be like, I would say, I'm going to use a broader term, intention. But that could mean with your spiritual practice, gratitude practice. I'm a huge person in encouraging people to have a gratitude practice. Even if it's just like 3 things. And I always suggest as well, like, go a little bit deeper. Like, we're all like, I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful. Yeah, we all are. Let's challenge ourselves. Let's go a little bit deeper. As an example, like, I'm grateful that when I made my daughter her favorite dinner, she gave me that smile or that look. Like, just go that, like, another layer or 2 deeper with your gratitude. Or, I'm grateful that, here's a perfect example, I'm here visiting you. My parents are watching my dog. So I'm grateful that my parents are watching my dog. Let's take another level deeper. Like, I'm grateful that they're always available and so willing to support, in this particular case, me and my wife coming to visit you and enjoying this experience by watching our dog. Just add that little extra something, a little bit more juice, a little bit more charge to it. And you don't have to go crazy, 3 things. That's all I usually do. Sometimes a little bit more. I always try and get 3. So I'd say gratitude and intention around what we're doing, what we're eating, how we're going to sleep, how we're going to exercise. That intention, that gratitude, journaling, they're all different things. I'm going to cheat here and lump them all into one. I think that's actually the most important thing people should, outside of nutrition and movement.
Well, I'm really grateful that you were able to be here and come with Andrea and get time away and nurture your relationship, and we get to do this. So
yes, thank you. I'm so pleased that we had this opportunity.
Yeah. Anything you want to leave people with?
Well, I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, let's talk about October 17th.
Yeah, so October 17th, I'm hosting a live virtual event, really geared towards the business owner. So this is not my health offering. It's sort of a business coaching offering that really is focused on, again, that unconscious mind and our blockages that are actually limiting our revenue. So wherever you might be at, maybe you're consistently hitting 70,000 and can't really break through, or you get, maybe that one contract and you get like, I made 90, maybe I'll make 100, and then something happens and you get a refund recall and you get, that you hit that ceiling or
upper limit.
Yeah, or maybe it's 150 for you, maybe it's even 400,000, 500,000 for you, but you just can never break through. I would suggest you have all the tactics and marketing, and there's lots of different things, and no one's probably tried them all, but again, it's something we have to, it's not the strategy anymore. It's you, it's your intuition, it's your unconscious mind your unconscious mind doesn't feel it's safe for you for whatever reason to break past that. Maybe it could be a variety of things. Yes. Maybe your parents never made more than 100,000 when you were growing up. So going past 100,000 triggers you for some reason, whatever the case may be. So we're going to really focus on that during this event and how that actually is hampering your earning capacity and thus your impact capacity as well. We talk about you can't make the sales calls, you're hanging up the phone as soon as you get an objection. Like, you are not your magic, your special sauce. You're not able to share with those people. So yes, you're getting paid for, you're getting rewarded for doing that, but you're also not helping that other person. So it's not only about revenue for you, but it's the impact that you can make. So we're really focused on, we'll talk a little strategy, a little bit of marketing too, but it's really focused on that. So that's of interest at all.
I feel like everybody could use that at any point.
It helped me.
Yeah.
It helped me.
Beautiful.
For sure. So,
okay, what's the event called?
The event is called your Business Breakthrough Revenue Event.
Okay, great. And we'll put the link for that in the show notes. And then if someone wants to go on a health journey with you, they want to live past 100, they want to enjoy the remaining years, how can they reach you?
We can provide the link as well. I have a free, no obligation discovery call. There's some questions there to really make sure that this is right for you, that you have the right intention, that you're prepared to even have the conversation. So we can provide that link as well. And we'll just have a conversation and see where you're at. And maybe it's the right fit. Awesome. We can discuss it. And if it's not for you, there's a lot of great professionals, and not everyone's necessarily ready to go to the degree I go with the blood test and stool sample test and the whole deal and that inner game work and all that. That's not necessarily for everyone, which is totally fine as well. But we can provide that.
I just had a flash of you talking about how that's your daughter's limit. She won't do the stool sample.
Yeah, that's my daughter's limit. She will not do a stool sample.
So you can only know so much.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Excellent.
That's funny that you brought that.
Hopefully she's not watching and now she's embarrassed.
Yeah. I don't think she watches my public talks and stuff.
But she is quite healthy.
She is, yeah. And I'd like to say I like to take some credit for it. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, but she got me last summer into doing Pilates. So we still sometimes do that together, and I've incorporated some Pilates movements into my own regular stretching mobility routine that I do daily. And just a few months ago, she started like intentionally wanting to like strength train. She's really into karate, so she wants to train her get stronger for karate. We work out sometimes together, or even if the timing is off, she like now knows what to do, how to do bicep curls and how to do squats and things like that. So
that's awesome.
She can actually deadlift more than her body weight, which impresses me.
Wow. So that's part of the ripple effect that you're having in your family.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure she's having in her friend group and all of that.
Yeah, I don't know that for sure, but I think so. But I will say this, like even in the extended, we spent a lot of time with my wife's family, and they've all seen me. I'm like the weirdo in the family, like doing this, and I'm only that. I
guarantee everybody listening to this is the weirdo in their family.
Probably. So now there's a second person, my daughter, who's she's got her own little quirks, and she doesn't do everything I do, and there's some things I do. But now it's actually more awareness. Like, oh, okay, well, now there's another person doing this. I think it's actually opening. I wouldn't say any habits have changed from anybody else yet, but I think there's more awareness and conversation around like, why is she doing that? Why are you both doing that? That type of thing.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Thanks everyone for listening. It's been fun. If you are called to, get your channel more clear through nutrition, reach out. And then everybody should go to the event on October 17th, because I guarantee wherever people are, there's some money ceiling.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Everyone.
Bye, everyone.